Hey, Kvell crew. We got week 3 challenge question and answers. So here we go. We got some good questions today. It's short, so there's not a lot of them, but two things that I want to talk about. Number one is assessing midpoint scans. So it doesn't matter what type of, whether you're doing body composition, whether you're doing the Fit 3D, whether you're doing an in-body scan, it doesn't really matter what you're using for body composition. They're all inaccurate. Every single one. None of them are accurate. And they're all going to fluctuate. The DEXA, which is basically like an x-ray of your body and your fat, it can vary within 7 percentage points, body fat percentage points, in a 30-minute time span. So none of them are accurate. The goal is long-term trends, right? So when you're looking at a midpoint scan, so you're like 3 weeks in. Okay, so the goal is there just kind of get an idea, but like you can't compare one to the other and say this is exactly what's happening. Like some of you guys, if you stand different, you know, that's going to then measure you different because it does that image and you stand different, it measures you differently. Okay, so just take it, it's just a tool, right? So if we're losing weight, awesome, you're going in the right direction. If it says you're losing lean mass and it's saying like you're losing 5 pounds of lean mass, not going to happen unless you're just not eating anything. And then that's an issue, right? If your body fat's going up, that's not necessarily the case either. But over the long term, like over the trend, long term, what's trending? Is body fat going down? Is lean mass going up and or staying the same? And is our body weight going down? Those are what we want to look at long-term trends. So, you know, on week 6, we have a much longer, you know, trend there, and we can see that a little bit better. But measuring week to week or even after 3 weeks, it's not necessarily that accurate unless you're standing exactly the same way every single time, which just takes a lot of practice and not everybody's doing. So don't get too one way or the other. Don't get too excited or too depressed about what those scans look like. It's just a tool, and it just gives us points on the graph over time, right? And so over time, we need those points, and they're going to go up and down, up and down, up and down, but eventually we want them all going and trending in the right direction. So that's the biggest thing on scans and scans in general. And then another person or a lot of you are traveling for the summer and those types of things, or maybe you just like you can't make it for whatever reason into a Kvell session. What do you do in place of that? What I would recommend is you get a pair of bands. So we can sell you some resistance bands. I think it's $30 for a red and a black, and you can knock out a killer workout with just those bands. And so if you go to right in this group here in our files section, just do those travel workouts. You know, if you can't get into Kvell for whatever reason, hit one of those travel workouts so you're getting that good solid resistance training in. And again, we can get you those bands, just ask the coach. Okay, next question. I'm still breastfeeding. Would this be affecting my hunger because I feel hungry often? Yes, absolutely. I feel like I have to eat more. And when I'm eating the healthy stuff to get rid of the hunger. Yes. So when you're eating healthy, no matter what, you have to eat more food, because when you're eating healthy, that means we have more nutrient density and less calorie density. So that means you have a food that has far more nutrients in it, but it has fewer calories. So especially when you're breastfeeding, number one, we want to eat as many nutrient dense foods as we possibly can, but you're going to have to eat more because typically they have more fiber in them. Right? So the calories are lower. So there's still a certain amount of calories that we have to eat to be able to handle that. Now, if you're breastfeeding, you have a little bit of a unfair advantage over some people because a lot of your energy, a lot of your nutrition is going to making breast milk. But the goal here is if we're trying to lose weight as we breastfeed, which we should, you naturally should drop weight as you breastfeed if you're eating the right amount of foods, but you don't have to drop calories significantly. And so if you drop calories too significantly, your breast production will go down. So that's a good way for you to kind of judge, like, all right, am I getting enough calories? Is my breast milk production going down? If it is, then your calories are a little bit too low. So just be a little bit careful on that. But yeah, when you're eating healthy, good, nutritious foods, you're going to feel like you're eating more food because it's more filling, there's more fiber, there's more nutrients. And yes, the quantity of food actually has to be more. Is it normal to hate working out as much as I do? How am I supposed to make this a habit? Hating it so much. So here's the thing about exercise. Nobody like enjoys exercise when they're doing it really, you know, because exercise just doesn't really feel that good if you're doing it right. And a lot of people would argue if you are doing it right, if you are liking it, you're probably not doing it right during it, right? Now, after we feel awesome, we feel good, we're done with it, boom. But it's just like anything in life that's really worthwhile. It's not like a super good thing. And so you have to look at it and say, okay, well, why am I doing this thing? And instead of like feeling like you have to enjoy exercise, you enjoy the result of the exercise, right? So the exercise is a means to an end. which is why we try to make things as efficient and as effective as possible, right? So our actual workout time is only 25 minutes. So you get in here, you knock it out for 25 minutes, you feel you improve your life, right? And so you start looking at, well, why am I doing it? And now I can start enjoying that thing because of what it does and because of how I feel afterwards. That's the biggest thing, is just shifting your mind on what that looks like, right? And so you show up, you put in your time, and you get it done, right? It's very similar with like work. Like everybody has to make money and not everybody enjoys their work. You know, I would argue that you try to get a work that you enjoy, but that's not always the case, right? So you still have to punch the clock, still have to make the money, right? And so with exercise, the same thing. Like you're going to work, you're going to punch the clock. And over time, as you start to get in better shape, you're going to start enjoying it more, right? You're going to start dreading it less. But you have to do it consistently for a long enough period of time that you start making a habit. And then once you start getting into shape, you start doing it. Here's the thing with most people. Most people don't like things that they're not good at. And as soon as they start becoming good, they start enjoying them more. Okay, so you set your mind to, great, I'm going to go to work, right? Like work being exercise in this. I'm going to work, and this is how often I'm going to do it. And no matter what, that's what I'm going to do. And you do that over and over and over again, and it starts to become a habit. But there is very rarely a day where I'm like pumped to exercise, but I know that I need to exercise. I know that I'm going to feel better afterwards. And I know that long term, if I do that, I'm going to have a better quality of life. Okay, so those are kind of the things you got to think about. But again, it's just showing up to work. It's just having the discipline to show up to work. You know it's beneficial. You know that's going to get you where you want to go. What is the formula for the amount of water we should consume daily? 0.5 to 0.7 ounces of your body weight per day. So if you're 100 pounds, you would drink anywhere from 50 to 70 ounces per day. The more active you are, the higher up to that 0.7 you need to be. The less active, the closer towards that 0.5 you need to be. I'm not losing the inches I want, specifically in my waist. Is there a way to escalate it, or should I be patient? If you're losing weight, it's just not as fast as you want, I would say be patient. If you're not losing weight at all, then you need to check your how much food you're eating, and you just need to decrease food a little bit. And that's the way to do any of this. You got to make sure you're doing resistance training, so make sure you're hitting at least your 2 to 3 workouts per week or more. And then you got to make sure that that your nutrition, your portion sizes are where they need to be. If you ever come to a point where you're not losing weight, check your calories and check your metabolism. Ideas for days we can't make it to class due to schedules besides running. So same thing there. I would just hop on the workout, travel workouts. Get some bands, hit the travel workouts. If I cut dairy, should I take calcium, vitamin D supplements, or are there certain non-dairy foods I can get these nutrients from? So on the supplement side, make sure you go to examine.com, and look up the effectiveness of calcium and vitamin D supplements first. And then number 2, yes, you can get far more dairy from vegetables than you can from dairy. So like dark leafy green vegetables, which are going to give you a whole bunch of other things too. And then as far as vitamin D, go outside and get some sun. It's summertime. The best form of vitamin D is when you go outside and you get sun. That is the best, number 1 source of vitamin D, food, supplements, or otherwise. There's actually not a lot of vitamin D in supplements, and even the vitamin D in there is not always totally absorbable. Is it important to have protein at every meal, or can I, for example, skip protein at lunch, just eat a big salad, and then eat more for dinner? You want to eat protein every meal. So the reason that you want to eat protein every meal, now this can be like a vegan or vegetarian source of protein, or it can be an animal protein, but you want to eat protein every meal so that your body can continue to metabolize and build and regrow muscle. So if you're not getting protein for a long enough period of time, you get into a state of catabolism, which is basically then eating your muscles, which we don't want to do that. So you want to eat protein so that the turnover on the protein and the recovery is going the way that your body wants it to go. As an example, like for building muscle, for straight building muscle, you want to hit protein, about 30 to 40 grams of protein about every 3 hours for optimal muscular growth, right? So even if your goal is weight loss, we still want to really maintain that muscle and even grow some lean muscle. So you want to make sure that we're hitting the protein. Now again, that can be a vegan or vegetarian source. So for example, you said a salad. So if you have a salad with some beans or some quinoa or some vegetarian sources of protein on mommy, then you're getting your protein in. It doesn't necessarily have to be, in fact, it doesn't have to be an animal protein at all. What is your favorite chocolate protein powder? I don't necessarily have a favorite chocolate protein powder. What I would recommend is that you get a protein powder and add cacao to it, and then you got your chocolate protein powder. So get it just like a plain protein powder, add cacao to it. But typically, if you're going to be eating protein powder, it should be with vegetables and fruits, and it should be in a smoothie, not like just on its own, because most of the protein powders that don't have stuff in them don't taste very good. And almost all of the chocolate protein powders have sweeteners in them, because cacao by itself, most people don't like. During my last scan, I lost a few pounds of lean mass. I'm correct in thinking I need to up my protein intake. You're correct and incorrect. So again, the scan isn't really, it's not accurate enough for you to make adjustments that fast. Now, if that keeps happening, two things. You got to make sure that you're resistance training, like make sure you're lifting weights. And then number two, yes, make sure you're getting enough protein. But most people are getting enough protein. And so what you want to look at is the long-term trends, right? So I would say, okay, great, and just kind of put that in the memory bank. And then as the trend continues, what's happening? If you're continuing to lose lean mass, then yes, we have an issue of either you're eating not enough food or not enough protein or not lifting heavy enough, okay? But for the most part, I wouldn't change anything right away. I'd look at what the trend's doing long-term. And what is my favorite meal? That's pretty tough because let me think for a second. I kind of eat food to eat food, just whatever's healthy is kind of what I do. I'm kind of a weirdo. But if I had to pick a favorite meal, probably salmon and a salad. Probably salmon and a salad is my favorite meal. That's like what I always will get when I go out to eat. I'll get like whatever the salmon dish is and then a nice big salad. And that makes me feel good about it, feel good about life, all that. Okay. All right, guys, good questions. Keep them coming. We're in week 3, so we're about halfway through. So let's just keep cranking. Actually, I think this is week 4. Just keep on cranking, guys. Finish strong. Make sure we finish all the way to the end.